Good morning. Joining us now, Tom Fitton, the president of Judicial Watch. Tom, thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
We need to obviously discuss impeachment. Yesterday, Nancy Pelosi had a lot to say when she was asked about the impeachment proceedings. Here's Nancy defining this. Like to get your reaction to it.
Bribery, and that is in the Constitution attached to the impeachment proceedings.
So what was the bribe here?
The bribe is to grant or withhold military assistance in return for a public statement of a fake investigation into the elections.
So
That's bribery. Yes.
Could we be looking at an article of impeachment?
I don't know about that. We haven't even made a decision to impeach. That's what the inquiry is about. And when the committees decide that, and they will decide what the articles are. But I am saying that what is the president has admitted to and says it's perfect, I said it's perfectly wrong.
All right. So, Tom, is she right? It's no longer quid pro quo. It is now bribery and cover-up.
Well, there's even bribery under any standard definition of it. What she's talking about is politics, government officials deciding or using government money to try to get an achieved public policy outcome. And it's obviously necessary in foreign policy. Joe Biden admits to doing exactly what she said is alleged bribery, which is, I'm not giving you $1 billion in aid until you fire this prosecutor, who coincidentally happens to be investigating my son's board. Of course, he didn't actually say that. I don't want to be Adam Schiff here. But that's what Joe Biden did. So should he be impeached too?
Right. Don't you think the Democrats are making a tactical mistake by using the word bribery in the sense that they are now overcharging the president? So where they were first saying, wow, I can't believe that he would exchange anything for anything. Now if they're using the word bribery, voters are going to look at this and be like, bribery? Wait, using taxpayer dollars to get a country to behave, to do something with foreign aid? That's what we do with every country who gets foreign aid.
But this is an indication that they are failing. The quid pro quo wasn't working. They had a hearing where their big witnesses came in, and it consisted of bureaucrats complaining around the water cooler about what the boss is doing. That's not the basis for impeachment, obviously. They're realizing, I think, that Schiff has been lying to them about Donald Trump. He never had anything on him. And now, as I've said before, the Democrats have been throwing lateral passes down as they run down the field to try to remove Trump, anything that can work. And it's not working. Lateral passes are kind of fun to watch for a little bit, but they usually fail after
It's a
time.
good opportunity to fumble, actually.
That's right. And the coup is failing. And what are they going to follow up with today? An ambassador who was removed rightly by President Trump, an Obama-era holdover, who is going to come in and complain that she was removed, but who has nothing to add about the specific circumstances, which is supposedly under investigation, whether or not he bribed anyone in Ukraine. This is absurdity and an abuse, but it really shows you how low rent and how weak tea this impeachment effort is. It's a big failure. I used to think, guys, they were going to impeach him. It didn't matter what the evidence was, but I don't think that's the case anymore. I think they're going to start losing Democrat votes.
Well, with Marie Yovanovitch, the former ambassador who's coming in today to testify, the Republicans, we now know, are going to concentrate on the Ukraine because of the disparity, the discrepancies in the statements that have been made. We now know that she has been accused. One of the reasons she was removed was because she was accused of meddling in the Ukrainian elections with public statements that she made about wanting people removed. That's going to come up today. Does Adam Schiff allow that, or does Adam Schiff pull we're only talking about the president's phone call card?
Well, that's a good question. So you've got allegations of that against her. Other allegations are she hated President Trump. Judicial Watch reporting shows that she was directing and her staff was pursuing what was believed to be illegal monitoring of the Trump world people, his son, Rudy Giuliani, a whole host of Fox News hosts, and other journalists, because obviously, and her testimony indicates this, they were nervous about what they were saying about her in Ukraine. She says it wasn't illegal. She didn't have a specific list. Well, we do know there was a list, and we do know, based on our reporting, that the State Department told them to stop it because it is illegal. You can't have government officials just pointing out, "Hey, I want to know what Mary is writing on her social media platforms, so let's keep a file on it." It's illegal. It's a violation of the Privacy Act. I hope they get into that with her.
Tom, does the president need a justification to fire an ambassador?
No. And an ambassador, especially if he has no confidence in her, and she obviously doesn't like him and disagrees with his policy, she should have resigned.
Right. It's just like, but even if he was fed lies about her, let's even grant that. If he fires her, that's in his purview.
It's in his purview to ask the Ukrainians to figure out how they're going to cooperate with our Justice Department and start fessing up on their corruption. And it's perfectly legal for the president to make sure the ambassador that's representing the United States shares his values. After all, he's the one elected president, not these nadering nabobs out there complaining about his policy. It's water cooler talk elevated to an impeachment crusade. It's absurd.
More with Tom Fitton in a moment, 7:43.
All right, we're here with Tom Fitton, in studio, president of Judicial Watch, talking about the impeachment hearings. All right, so Tom, we've established that this probably is going nowhere, right? That they really don't have anything here. What's the downside for the Democrats, though? I don't know if I necessarily see a negative for them. At worst, they dirty up the president, and it just helps with their base.
Well, I mean, politically, if they don't impeach him, it's a big fail for them. And they could face losing the House as a result over this waste of taxpayer resources and abuse of the President of the United States.
Yeah, but wait, but hold on. Don't you think that their base is going to love them, though, for at least trying for dirtying them up? You don't think so?
Not all of them.
No, they thought they had this wired, Mary. And remember, these hearings are actually a defensive move. I don't think they ever wanted to have hearings like this. They were hoping to do this secret testimony, wrap it up in some sort of sham report, hand it off to the Judiciary Committee, and have them do a 2 or 3 day show trial of a process and then quickly push out impeachment. And all that's been torn apart because of the opposition of American voters and a few intrepid Republicans who took on the Democrats more directly. And certainly the president is doing a pretty good job defending himself. But you know who loses in this process? It's the rule of law. It's the American people. It's our constitutional system. Because now the standard for impeachment is you don't really need any reason. No reason will do. We have impeachment about nothing. I call it the Gossip Girl impeachment. If this is the standard, every politician who comes into the presidency faces impeachment if the House is controlled by his opposition.
Yeah, and we've got Democrats, by the way, just if you want to get a sense of how the score is going on all this, even CNN has a headline this morning that Democrats are panicking that public opinion is not shifting towards impeachment.
Their big day was Wednesday, and there'll be other hearings. But they needed to make the splash on Wednesday, and I think we saw impeachment end on Wednesday, not the beginning of the process.
Let me ask you about the IG report expected from the Justice Department about the abuses of surveillance tools against American citizens. That IG report is expected somewhere in the vicinity of Thanksgiving right now, but, these timelines are always moving, so I won't even promise that as we read these headlines. But we are seeing headlines out of the Washington Post overnight that some of the witnesses who are mentioned in the IG report have been panicking that they're not able to adequately provide back their written responses to their names being invoked. The Justice Department telling the Washington Post, no, they can indeed file written responses. But what do you make of this conflagration in the last 24 hours, that we're now starting to get witnesses panicking about the details of the IG report?
In the Washington Post, there's information likely coming out of the IG. We have confirmation the Justice Department has found criminal activity behind the targeting of Donald Trump. The IG is going to likely confirm that. And once the Washington Post focus, they didn't follow the process. It looks like there may be some people who were actually involved and implicated in this who weren't able to get everything they wanted to say in response to this report, as if that's the ordinary course. This is why there's a coup, guys. It's because of IG reports like this coming out, the prospect, however slight, of prosecutions, criminal activity around the targeting of President Trump, who he dared ask about which he dared ask the Ukrainians about. And what's the result? They want to remove him from office, suppress talk of those involved trying to destroy him, like the whistleblower. We're not allowed to mention his name. Can I mention his name?
Go for it.
Well, I don't know if it is, but it's We're not allowed to mention his name. He was the Ukraine official for the CIA in 2 administrations. We can't ask questions about him.
Just one quick question.
Somebody just got to me. We're not allowed to say that name.
Oh, just one quick question.
I'm banned.
If we're not allowed to say that name, doesn't that de facto just mean that he is the whistleblower?
Yeah.
Because if he wasn't, we could say the name.
I love that
right?
move. I actually just want to see one lawmaker say in front of Adam Schiff and see how Schiff responds.
Right.
Because Schiff just told us the other day, he's like, I have no idea who the whistleblower is.
Exactly.
Really? Okay, well, let's try this little game.
Well, whether or
Why
not
can't
he
I
is,
say that name then?
he worked for the CIA. He worked as a CIA detailee to the Trump administration and the Obama administration. We looked at the visitor logs from the Obama White House.
Yes.
He met with this Ukraine group that was
Yep.
implicated in targeting Trump.
yeah.
He worked with the Soros Open Society Foundation and all the usual suspects in terms of this Get Trump effort that was run through Ukraine. Ukraine's a sensitive topic for the Democrats.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to hear a lot more about Ukraine if these criminal prosecutions proceed, because that was one of the vehicles for corruptly targeting Trump.
All right, Tom Fitton, we have to say goodbye because our engineer Luke's arm has been in the air for a while, and it's getting tired.
He's trying to censor us.
He's
He
trying
doesn't
to
want us to
censor us,
mention.
Tom Fitton, president of Judicial Watch, thank you so much. Have a great weekend.